Hello. So this is my first video about this kind of thing that I'm working on. So right now I'm living in Tokyo and it's cool so far. I've been living in Japan for some time and I also have a degree in political science and I've been working on something. It's called a visual novel. And I might just turn it into a regular novel. I'm still deciding, but I want to document all of this. I've been watching some of Gary Vaynerchuck stuff, and he's like, document stuff. And I'm like, okay, might as well, right? So, this project that I'm working on, I've been studying writing for some time and how to do fiction writing, so I hope it turns out well. The name of this one is My Last Day at the Thought Police Hotline, right? Ooh, right. What's that about? So, the intent of that is to make people, see the, headline, or what is it called, the title, and then be like, whoa, oh, I want to know more about that, right? So, I got that down. And then the next thing is I want to kind of show a little bit of the introduction. I remember I was watching this, I think it's a master class by Dan Brown, and he was discussing how what's it called? The Breaking Bad beginning. Yeah, he was talking about the beginning of Breaking Bad. So I was inspired a little bit by that kind of format. So like something intense happens and then it flashes back. In this case, since it's the last day, it'll be like 9 hours earlier, and so here's when I have some notes for the beginning. So the main character is running away from law enforcement. Yeah, maybe if you've seen Breaking Bad, you know a little bit about that. And the main character has what I have here. It might change later, but the main character has a flash drive, and with secrets he uploaded to it. And this is he's going to be a whistleblower in this kind of scenario. And I could make it like if it's a visual novel, have different paths, but right now I'm going to stick with this one. Law enforcement is getting very close, and so the main character decides to try to duck and cover and pull out his gun. And in this story, because things are so traceable, and he also works at the hot police hotline, right? There's so many things. There are like so many cameras that can like just see him and things like that. And one thing I really want to get across in this is some of the kind of moral gray zone, which is also good for storytelling, between like privacy and like some other kind of security things. So, for example, like on one end, there could be some things like in the story, I plan to go with one of the things that happens is with the facial recognition software and being able to recognize like emotions and stuff, right? And so in this kind of scenario, like someone who sees an image of like with the leader and they didn't have like a happy face on them or something, and so the thought police hotline is called about this, and then the character in this visual novel has to decide what to do with that person, right? And so that's part of it. And then that's because there's so many cameras, right? And then there's also that kind of situation that I think it's something that could realistically occur in some places. That's just me though. But then on the other hand, like that might seem like a little bit, that might only happen in a few places, and it's like, oh man, I don't want that to happen, right? But then I had to look at the other area part of it, which is like, oh well, because people could like in the security agencies read emails, right? Sometimes maybe they were able to stop like 3 terrorist attacks last year, right? So I want to kind of explore both of those, and part of what I want to show in this video series too is me researching both sides of this kind of argument. That's something I want to do, and something that I'm hoping to be able to do that I think would be cool is to show these different perspectives of political, what's it called? Political perspectives, but do it in a kind of story format. So it's interesting and not boring, because a lot of times I feel like politics things bores a lot of people. And I think it's also a good way to inform people on both sides, like of the other side of the argument. And while I may end up putting my own kind of perspective, I'm going to show my hands, a little bit of action, right? Might end up showing my own perspective of like how I feel about it into this. I want to leave enough there so that people can decide for themselves, like, oh, was that really like the best decision the person could have made? Like could this person who I'm going to make it so that they have some like personal thing that happens to them that day that makes them question whether or not what they're doing is the right thing, and then they decide to defect. But would it have been better for them just to like stay at their job and just, you know, keep going? And I'll explore a little bit more of that. I have a scene, for example. I may or may not keep it depending on how like hardcore I want to get with it. But there's this one person, if I remember correctly, who works there, and they end up screwing up in some bad fashion, like really bad, like to the like. So I still have to work out the details, but something along the lines of like, I think they bailed out somebody they weren't supposed to, and then the person just ends up at the job like just getting shot, right? And so like that raises the stakes because a little more drama. But then it's understood by the main character in this scenario, if I decide to keep it, that, oh, well, there's so many people who want this job. And because another thing I'm going to explore in this is sometimes governments make it so difficult for people who are poor and people without a lot of money to like do startups, through things like licensing fees, through things like laws that are so hard to get through that you need like to hire a legal team basically, or hire any legal person to get through all of it, which is extra money and all these other expenses, and maybe slow bureaucracy too, which could eat up the person's time, versus the bigger companies and the richer people who have the resources to get through all of this, right? And so I'm going to explore a little bit of that in this as well. And oh wait, I had the connection between those. I swear there was a connection, and it just like flittered away, right? I'm going, and it was related to the shooting, I think. Oh yeah, it was. Okay, I got it. It's because in this kind of world that I plan to have here, it's going to be really difficult to start like businesses, and so that makes it so that there aren't so many jobs, and so these government jobs are like the main jobs, and this one in particular is one that also is well paid. So the person has to balance like having this well paid job that they can, like, you know, keep doing what they want to do, with if they should do the right thing, as far as they are concerned. And then again, the reader can decide like, oh, but did they really do the right thing? Could they have, you know, done more? And so I'm going to explore that a bit. And yeah, so all of that and all the surveillance going on, including through personal devices, maybe the one I'm recording on now, I'm actually not sure if it is or not, but yeah, interesting things. And so that's some of the story that I plan to kind of put forward in this. There's a lot more details, and so hopefully that gives you like, you know, a little taste of some of the things that are in there. I'm thinking that while it's not something that I'm personally like, so I should word this a little better. I'm personally back and forth on whether I should add this or not, but I was shown advice that having some kind of romantic interests could be good. So I'm thinking man, that would be difficult, but it would be additional tension, would be to have some kind of romantic interest, maybe at the office, and then there may be like people from like, I don't know, their childhood or something, that they know each other and they grew up, and the other person is like really in favor of the, what's it called, of the, not privacy, the opposite. Sorry, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. They're in favor of the surveillance, and then the main character is changing, right? And then it's like right at the cusp of, you know, if they're gonna like confess to each other, right? And that's part of the drama. And then I think later on, I don't know if I should spoil it. Maybe I'll spoil a little bit, because I mean the beginning starts with the ending, right? And then she would end up being involved, and then later on in the story, I worded that weird. Sorry, with the order of things. But part of the development of the love interest thing, right, is that the person is hiding at some point, and he's at a spot that she knows, and then she goes there, and now she's the like only thing in between, like whether or not he's gonna like be able to make it or not, because she could just like straight up like tell on him. She could snitch and be like, here's the guy right here, here's the guy, he's over here, he's over here. But he, at this point, would have to use his words in order to kind of convince her not only to like let him go basically, but also, you know, kind of like doubling down. It's like, oh, well, you know, last time, right? Be like, oh yeah, confessions back and forth, and trying to convince her to be on his side. And then yeah, so that's a bunch of drama that I plan to have in this thing. So I think all of this is a fantastic way to show different perspectives of the like political arguments, because these are also people's like, you know, lived experiences and everything, and things they care deeply about. They care deeply about on both sides, right? And so yeah, I want to document all of this, and so this is a bit of an introduction video. I might end up putting this to Kickstarter. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, this is the introduction of what I plan to do here. And yeah, some videos will be about the research I do, some will be about the planning and other things going on with the visual novel. And so, you know, I'm using Tyranno Builder as what I plan to use right now for this story. And yeah, so again, just to kind of recap, I'm taking advice from Gary Vaynerchuck, who has a lot of good marketing stuff to document like daily lives. And for me, I want to take it as like documenting my project that I want to work on, and I really want people to like be able to like look at different perspectives of these different political arguments. I think it's really important to do that. And even if, you know, we don't 100% agree, at least we can understand the other point of view, and be able to say like, oh, this is why I do agree, this is why I don't agree, this is why I like it, so forth. And so let me know what you think of this in the comments. Let me know what you think of the visual novel, and if it's something that you think is Kickstarter worthy. Is this something that, like, a topic that you're interested in? And if so, like, what's your opinion on it? I know right now I'm using an Apple device, and I think it looks cool. Although I can't really see where the camera is. It's like some next level technology. This is the iPhone 11. Yeah. Anyways, there's that. And yeah, if you know of any kind of privacy respecting platforms, I know there's I think the Brave browser is one. I think there's the E.Foundation sites and mobile operating system that respects privacy. Or if you're in favor of surveillance, like, what's your thoughts on that? Because I need to, especially, I think, view a little bit more of that side of things. Because I think both sides definitely have their merits, which is why it's great for the drama of the story, right? I'm personally very interested in the different kind of political perspectives, right? And also the moral gray area. I think this goes back to what I said, but yeah, the moral gray area is really good for the drama of the story. So this can work together really well. And beyond this, there could be other projects I work on with this kind of sentiment, but right now I'm going to focus on the privacy versus surveillance thing in this story, which is the main point. And then there might be some secondary points brought up, such as the too much government regulation making it difficult for new businesses to pop up and things like that. So thank you so much for watching all of this, and if you want to keep up to date on this project that I plan to work on, you can subscribe. There should be a subscription thing somewhere, and then you can like this video if you want, and yeah, I want to see your comments too. It'd be cool. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.